Manscaped. Ladies, if you're looking for the perfect gift to give the men in your life, Manscaped has you covered. It's Father's Day, which means you have the opportunity to give the best gifts of all. The brand new Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer and ultra smooth package. I gave the beard trimmer, quote unquote, beard trimmer, also a bush trimmer, to Rory, and he is a fan. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Sarah at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code Sarah at manscaped.com. It's dad bod season. Time to get smooth. Hello, everyone. I didn't do much last night. I watched a Columns, I'm not going to lie. Oh, I also wanted to say that I've really perfected popcorn, and I have, listeners and people on Twitter to thank, because I was making popcorn, and I put butter on it. Of course, vegan butter. I use this stuff called Milkadamia butter. It's unbelievable. It's just like butter. Anyway. And, but I was kind of splashing water on it. I don't know why. I like that kind of wet popcorn texture. So I tweeted that. I said, I put water on my popcorn. And people were really up in arms about it. But a lot of people who know I'm trying to be vegan and everything, and I have been completely vegan, other than honey. But then that's another story for in a minute. I got so much great advice, and now I've really perfected popcorn. First of all, I've perfected popcorn because I know how to pop from looking on YouTube. Every single kernel. It's incredible. Have I told you this? Well, let me digress my digression by saying, you put it on just a medium heat, 6. Put your oil in. 3 kernels. That's it. You put 3 kernels in. You wait it takes about 7 minutes. You wait for all 3 kernels to pop. As soon as all 3 kernels pop, you take it off the heat, put the rest of the kernels in, keep it off the heat for 30 seconds. That makes it so that the heat is evenly dispersed. Now you put it back on the heat. Every kernel pops in 5 minutes. Really good. Anyway, now I pour the popcorn into a bowl. I put on my little Milkadamia butter. Then I sprinkle, boy, this will only sound good to vegans, but it's called nutritional yeast. All of this stuff sounds fucking disgusting, by the way. But it's really good. It's just like flavor. I don't know, and it's good for you. And it's like a nutty-ish, cheesy-ish flavor. I sprinkle on nutritional yeast. Then liquid. It's basically, I sprinkle soy sauce on it, but it's called liquid aminos, and it's a soy sauce substitute. Now, I like soy sauce, and sodium's great for me anyway. Raj, I'm sorry, I've really gone off the plan. But anyway, liquid aminos, sprinkle that on, and I think it's good for you for some reason too, but it tastes like soy sauce. Very good. All right. You know what? Let's get right into it today. Let's go right to voicemails.
You left me a message, now I'm playing it for the world. Let's hear some voicemails.
Hey Sarah, it's Mario here. Big fan. I've been a fan of yours since I was probably 12 and I'm 25 now, so longtime fan. I discovered you randomly going through channels. And I came across Jesus' Magic, and I've just been a fan ever since. I was a young black kid who somehow understood what you were doing in your comedy. It was very dark, and it was very ironic and satirical, but I understood that, and I wasn't put off by it, as I guess some people who took your early comedy at face value were. I don't know what to ask you, because it's like I have a million things I would want to ask you, but I guess talking about your comedy, I am curious about when that transition for you was, going from playing a character on stage that was very ignorant and arrogant to then kind of saying what you meant in your comedy. I think it's one of the most seamless transitions I've ever seen. I don't find you any less funny. And I'm just curious, is like, do you remember was there a conscious choice? I know you've talked about it being sort of a slow, gradual thing, but do you kind of remember anything triggering that? Anything, changing you to be more yourself on stage and say what you actually feel? All right. Anyway, bye, Sarah.
That's an interesting question. I think it's interesting that he saw Jesus' magic at 14, and it's kind of a memory for him of getting the nuance of something that's adult. Like that made me think of those moments in my life. Like even like walking through Hanover on the Dartmouth campus when I was 13, and the church bells ringing, and just being moved by how beautiful it all was. Or even just like reading The Giving Tree, and being moved. Those are like little moments of kind of understanding things outside of yourself. But my old assistant, when I had an assistant, Annie, she said when we first met that Jesus' magic was her first experience of kind of understanding a more like more nuanced adult kind of humor. Anyway, kudos to me. So the question is my change in comedy and how that happened. And, it really happened after Jesus' magic, because Jesus' magic was the culmination of kind of 10 years of my first decade of comedy or so, and the best of it, and figuring out who I was and the character I was playing and stuff. And, when I first started out doing stand-up, I was like, good, just a dumb, like I did a character that was like, hey, I don't know. I mean, it was kind of who I was, but there was a little bit put on, A guy asked me for my number, and I felt so bad I gave him a fake number. And then I felt so bad that I moved there. I don't know, like whatever, like wide-eyed shit. And then by the time I did Jesus' Magic, I had really gotten kind of honed that, just like he said, that arrogant, ignorant character where my comedy came from shock, and surprise, and saying really the opposite of how I in real life felt, and hoping that beyond the laughs, to use a math term, the absolute power of that opinion comes through. It's like people can get away with stuff when you know what their real heart is, I think, is the science of that, how that might work. But anyway, I got famous really from Jesus' magic. And had burned all that material, and I had to write new material. And I had a complete identity crisis, because who am I? Am I still this person, this character? And you see comedians who are characters who throughout their entire career stay beholden to these characters, and they become caricatures of themselves. They don't change with time. If they do, they're not letting their art change with it, And that ended up being scarier to me, the thought of that, than the thought of bombing and starting all over again, which is what I had to do. My big realization that helped me after that, because I so wanted to give the audience what they wanted. I mean, that's what's wrong with comedians that makes us comedians. We want to please strangers. We want to be liked by strangers, by outside things. So I wanted to give them what they wanted, which was to be surprised, which is hard to then give them because they're expecting it. And it really scrambled my brain until I finally realized that comedy dies in the second guessing of what people want to see. And you got to be brave and start from the beginning, go back to zero, even if people know who you are. And when you get on stage, they go, oh my God, it's the one from that thing. Be brave enough to disappoint them and start over. And you know who I really learned from watching that is Chris Rock. He's a fucking legend. And he's brilliant. And when he finishes a special, he goes back to zero. And he's in the clubs and they introduce him and the crowd goes insane. And they're waiting with, they're ready to laugh. And he's like, let's see, what do I got? And a lot of it bombs and some of it kills or it won't work, but he'll know there's a germ of something there. You got to do it. You have to be brave enough to go to zero and disappoint people who are at this point your fans. So that was big for me. And I became a grown-up. And and in becoming a grown-up, learned to be wide-eyed, and be open and be wrong and get excited by that and change, be changed. I'm into that, So my comedy has to reflect that, but it's still got to be hardcore funny for me, So I just, each time I just start over. You have to trust. It's easy for comics and probably everybody, but like in comedian terms, every joke you write, you go, I'm never going to write another joke. It just doesn't seem possible, but you will. Will I? I don't know.
Here's some ads.
Native. Oh, Native. Sometimes life stinks. The good news is you don't have to because Native has your back and your armpits. Native cares about the products you put on your body. They are about stopping the stink the right way. That's the Native difference. You probably already know about Native's legendary aluminum-free deodorant, which I love. I have it smeared on my pits right now, and that's a fact. But have you tried their body wash, their toothpaste, or the brand new mineral-based sunscreen? Yes, Native now has a broad-spectrum SPF 30 sunscreen for your face and body. It's lightweight, it absorbs quickly, and you can choose between unscented or coconut and pineapple. Great. You can get their deodorant and body wash in amazing scents like coconut and vanilla, citrus and herbal musk, lavender and rose, and more. You can even build your own personalized product bundles. Mix and match 3 of your favorite scents and keep them on rotation so you have something for every occasion. Stay fresh and stay clean with Native by going to nativedeo.com/Silverman or use promo code Silverman at checkout and get 20% off your first order. That's nativedeo.com/Silverman or use promo code Silverman at checkout for 20% off your first order. Apostrophe. I personally have never had acne, but I definitely do get pimples. And sometimes I'll try popping them, even though I know I shouldn't, and it never works. But do you know what actually does work? Prescription treatments. That's why we're excited to partner with Apostrophe, the sponsor of this episode. Apostrophe is a prescription skincare company that offers science-backed oral and topical medications that are clinically proven to help clear acne. Apostrophe connects you with a board-certified dermatologist who will create a personalized treatment plan that is perfectly tailored to your unique skin. Apostrophe treats acne, and they can also help you hit your other skincare goals, like reducing redness, wrinkles, and even dark spots. I filled out my Apostrophe online quiz about my skin goals, which were to help my melasma and hydrate my dry skin. I just had to snap a few selfies and send it to a real board-certified dermatologist who then customizes a skincare regimen just for me. And now we have a special deal for our audience. Save $15 off your first visit with a board-certified dermatologist at apostrophe.com/Silverman when you use code Silverman. This code is only available to our listeners. To get started, just go to apostrophe.com/Silverman and click Begin Visit. Then use our code Silverman at sign up and you'll get $15 off your dermatology visit. That's apostrophe.com/Silverman and use that code Silverman to get your dermatology visit and save $15. And we thank Apostrophe for sponsoring the podcast.
And we're back.
Hi Sarah, this is Zach from Holland. You talking about grape nuts sounds so amazing. There's something about the combination of grape and nut that sounds so good together. I've looked it up on the internet though. It doesn't seem like you can get it in Europe. It hasn't seemed to take over the world. Anyway, I hope I get to America one day to taste this dish.
Are you just being adorable as a character? This is going to be very anticlimactic for you. Anticlimactic. What is it? Anticlimactic? With the C there? I believe this will be anticlimactic for you because it's like aggressively plain. There are not grapes or nuts. It has a nuttiness, a wheatberryness. But no, it's aggressively plain. This would not be, grape nuts are not invited to any kind of cookout. But I like it. Boy, last night I made some warm grape nuts. Now, let me tell you, I'll take you through this. Poured out my grape nuts, ended the box. I use an oat milk. You put a little more in than you would put in for cold, because you're going to put in the microwave. A little scoop of the Milkadamia butter. Microwave it. It bubbles up. It gets so hot. It's so hot. What are you going to cool it down with? A heaping tablespoon of vanilla ice cream, vegan of course. Then I drizzled my new vegan honey on it. I'm still finishing my Manuka honey. I'm going to be honest. I know that makes me not totally vegan, but this is my thing and I design it. But I did buy this vegan honey my friend Brian Moses told me about because he's like slept with so many vegan girls. He knows about everything. It's made actually with apple. It doesn't really taste like honey. It's its own flavor, but it's like super tart. It's like a sweet tart kind of sweetener. Drizzled that over it. Oh my God. It's so good. It's like apple pie, but it's kind of nutritious, certainly fortifying. Yeah. God. Anyway, sorry. What else? I keep rubbing my feet on the carpet here and then getting a terrible shock in my ear holes. But I'm bringing it on myself. All right.
Hey, Sarah. Love the podcast so much. My friend actually told me to listen to your podcast. I've obviously known about you for years and years. Love it so much, especially during these hard times. Don't really have a set script for what I want to say, but I'm a trans woman from Arizona, and I suffer from a disorder called borderline personality disorder, which means that I can be so on top of the world, like 1 second. In the next split second, I can be on the bottom of the world.
Impulsive.
And in the middle is just kind of absolute abyss, just emptiness. Like, when people say that they distract themselves, I don't think they distract themselves as hard as I do. I've made some of the most impulsive decisions that you could ever imagine, whether it was selling my body, doing all sorts of drugs, sleeping with older men at the age of 15 who were like 35. You know, you could say lived life, but God no, lived life in the most impulsive manners. All just to not feel abandoned and to feel loved. And it doesn't help that I grew up in a household that didn't really give me that deep emotional love. It was
withholding,
not that supportive of an environment. My family does not talk to each other whatsoever. My family is a bit supportive towards me. They're not like homophobic or anything. They're quite liberal. But it's just weird living with this disorder. And I don't know if you know anybody who suffers from borderline personality disorder or what you know about it. Thanks.
Needless to say, I'm not of incredible authority to speak on this, but it is something that is very present in my community of comedians. It makes me think of bipolar disorder, but they're different. And I actually have read about this, and bipolar is more chemical. It onsets in your early 20s maybe, or maybe that's schizophrenia, but I know that bipolar is more chemical. It's helped most with medication, and the unfortunate thing there is because it's highs and lows, and the highs and lows are less impulse driven. They're more like they last, days or weeks or months, and the lows and the highs. And medication really helps, but for my friends that I know who have experienced it, it helps, but it feels like a deadness. It's a kind of flatness. And when they're in the beginnings of their highs is when it feels like life. So they often really are compelled to go off their meds. Borderline is more, like you said, impulsive. They're triggered. I wish we could talk live where you could tell me right now if this rings true to you. But from what I've read about borderline personality, it gets triggered. It comes usually from a childhood trauma. It's like it's initially triggered from trauma and then subsequently triggered by interactions with people or conflict with people. So it's, where bipolar is about staying on meds, borderline is best treated with therapy, and talk therapy, psychotherapy, because it's about undoing trauma, and it subsequently gets triggered. I have misophonia, which is like a sensitivity to sound. And it really only happens, but it's often because it happens if there's any stress in my body. If I have any stress in my body, the sound of a wrapper, the sound of chewing, the sound of crinkling, pens clicking makes me insane and filled with a rage that I know now if there's any possible way, I take myself out of the situation. But it's something that, also panic attacks are like that in terms of how they're triggered subsequently. Panic attacks, you have one, and pretty much every subsequent panic attack comes from the fear of having another one. Anyway, I'm really digressing. But yeah, with borderline, long-term therapy is, from what I've read, leads to the best success. It's because it's information. It's understanding, being a detective in your own life, which benefits all of us. This is something, figuring out the inciting incidents in your own life, going back and going over everything and figuring it out, hopefully with someone that can help you, guide you, like a good therapist. We all benefit from that. I have a much less difficult form of depression where the meds I'm on, I'm very lucky, don't really prevent my highs and my lows, but without therapy, I'd be missing the key other half of that equation. I'm not equipped to talk on this so much, but I hope that you have really good health care, really good insurance, or maybe you live somewhere else where that isn't a constant fear. But yeah, that should be the most, for all of us. But it should be the most important project of your life right now, is figuring that out, getting that work done. And, that's all I got as a grown-up with some experiences. I hope it's helpful, but again, I speak out of my ass.
Here's some ads.
Lucy.co. Lucy Nicotine is a company founded by Caltech scientists and former smokers looking for a better and cleaner nicotine alternative. Finally, tobacco alternatives that don't suck. Lucy has created a nicotine gum with 4 milligrams of nicotine that comes in 3 flavors: wintergreen, cinnamon, and pomegranate. Lucy also has a lozenge with 4 milligrams of nicotine that comes in 3 flavors. Lucy also has a lozenge with 4 milligrams of nicotine that comes in 3 flavors: cherry ice, citrus, and mint. Lucy lozenges and gums are FSA and HSA eligible, so you can use your FSA card to purchase Lucy now. I have some friends who are smokers, and I always recommend Lucy to them because it's just so convenient and it actually tastes good. It's 2021. Get rid of your cigarettes, unplug your vape, throw out your dip, gross, and get some Lucy nicotine gum or lozenges. This is the real deal. A subscription to Lucy comes directly to your door each month. It is so simple, and you don't have to leave your house because Lucy has delivery down. Lucy lozenges and gums are also FSA and HSA eligible, so you can spend pre-tax dollars on them. Sarah Silverman podcast listeners, Go to lucy.co and use promo code Sarah to get 20% off all products on your first order, including gum or lozenges. That's lucy.co and use promo code Sarah at checkout. Also, I have to read this disclaimer. Warning, this product contains nicotine derived from tobacco. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Right. Go to lucy.co and be sure to use that promo code Sarah. Manscaped. Father's Day is around the corner, and if you find men difficult to shop for, I've got great news. Manscaped has you covered. The brand new Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer and ultra smooth package is the perfect gift. Goodbye to hairy and hello to clean. Rory is, he's pretty hairy, which I like, but I'm still a fan of him cleaning it up a little bit, and he is too. I like it just a little bit. He likes to really groom, but we find a happy medium. This shit is genius. The optimized Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is waterproof, so your man can groom in the shower and not have to worry about cleaning up a mess on the bathroom floor. That's huge. If you want to get the complete package, the Manscaped Ultra Smooth Package is the 3-step groin shaving kit to help men buff, protect, and smooth their most sensitive areas. It includes the crop exfoliator, which is infused with ingredients that can soothe, clear, and keep the skin on and around the groin feeling refreshed. You always want your groin to be refreshed. The exfoliator can help reduce the risk of ingrown hairs in delicate places. The crop gel is a unique, clear shaving gel that lets men see where they're shaving. With 4 essential oils, it's like a spa treatment every time they shave. Lastly, the crop shaver was designed for shaving the groin area with confidence. Yes, men, time to get hairs out of those hard-to-reach places. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code Sarah at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code Sarah at manscaped.com. It's dad bod season. Time to get smooth, baby. And we're back.
So my boyfriend and I were having a really bad day yesterday, and I started talking about the interview that you gave with Katie Couric, where you described how your dog looked when he got stoned and the way the face that you made during the interview. And so I brought it up on YouTube because it's still there, and it made us laugh so fucking hard, and it was the best thing to put us in a better mood, just you talking about your stoned dog and the perfect face that you made. So just want to let you know, from Portland, Oregon, you really helped. Thanks.
That's funny. The story is I was with Jimmy Kimmel at the time, and we went to New York for a while, a amount of time. Like we sublet an apartment. I can't remember why we were there. And I brought my dog Duck, and of course I made pot brownies to bring with us. And one day I came home and Duck was just shaking and staring. And at first I thought, oh, he's cold, and I bundled him up, and then I was like, what is going on with him? It was kind of scary. And I look on the coffee table, and the Ziploc bag that had 6 pot brownies in them was chewed out from the side, and he had eaten all of them. And the second I saw that, I just scooped him up, got in a cab, and went straight to the animal hospital. And I remember the doctor looking at Duck and just laughing. And I was like, what? And he goes, this little guy is tripping, so they kept him overnight, and they just pumped saline in him. But for a while I was in I had to be in the waiting room, and it was awful because there were like 2 different families who were putting their elderly dogs asleep and just sobbing. And I was holding this little stoned dog whose mouth was so dry. I had to spit on my finger and kind of spread it on his gums, because his you never think of dogs with lips, but his top lip was stuck. I'll show you. It was like this. So I had to keep it moist with my own saliva. So they kept him overnight, and they pumped water and saline through him, and the next day he was okay. And they had me pick him up, and then I picked him up, and we walked outside, and he shit a shit the size of his entire body. I've never seen anything like it. It was very cleansing, I think, for both of us. But I will say that after that event, and I'm not suggesting you do this because it was very scary, but after that, for many years, very chill. He became a very chill dog. Could bring him anywhere, put him anywhere, plop him anywhere, he was fine. And he lived to be 19, though I should have put him to sleep when he was more like 17. He was, really just a shell of a dog. But selfishly, I kept him alive too long. All right, what else?
Hi, Sarah Silverman. My name is Brendan. I'm listening to your most recent interview on Howard Stern, and I recall the first time you were on, you mentioned how nervous you were. I was just wondering, do you still get nervous when you're on interviews with Howard or before live stand-up comedy or anything else? Or are you such a cool, calm, collected 50-year-old, I believe that's what you said you were about to be, do you not get nervous anymore before you perform? Just curious. Signed, Brendan.
Signed, Brendan? What are you, my Nana? We used to have an answering, when we first got an answering machine way in the 80s or whatever, she would leave a message and be like, I'm just, she'd say her message, and then she'd always end it by going, from Nana. Yeah, I get a little nervous probably. Less than I used to, but, I'm a human being. I don't know. What else?
Hello, Sarah. This is Paul Tokmakian from Brattleboro, Vermont.
Hello.
I'm calling, well, one, because I wanted to let you know that I love your podcast. I loved everything I've ever seen you do. So thank you so much for that.
Holy shit.
And also, I would like you to maybe talk on your podcast about the movie Aristocrats, not Aristocats. You could talk about Aristocats too, but Aristocrats. And what you think of it years after. I love it. I mean, I think it's hilarious, but I feel a little guilty about that. Okay. Hope you're well. Thanks so much.
It's a documentary about a joke that by design is meant to be the most offensive joke that you can possibly say. So, can you tell that today? I'm gonna say yes. But context has to exist and be acknowledged in order for that to happen, which has been tricky lately. Because boy, oh boy, have we as a society lost any sense of context or intent in language. Performance and transcript are not the same thing. They're very different things. Nothing can transcend past the words in a transcript. Yet transcripts are what artists are held to account by a lot often in these times, which are very good progressive times, but it's bumpy. I remember I used to have these agents, and I said, put me up for dramas. I can do dramas, and then they go, well, we don't have any reel on you. We don't have any, it's called like a reel, like a drama reel. And I was like, well, why don't you just use that scene from the Aristocrats? Because, in my mind, the character, even if I was being Sarah Silverman or whoever, the character I made up was in a drama. I'm referencing something that most people probably haven't seen, but I'm just saying, within this dark comedy, the words I was saying may have been funny, but my performance in my mind was drama. People just don't think like that. It's like how, if your show is a half hour, it's a comedy because it's 30 minutes. It's just like we just get used to stuff and then that defines it. I think Cory Booker once told me a story. I'll just make it really quick, but it makes me think of that. Is like, there was a recipe in his family for generations and generations for garlic bread or something. And it's like, you put the butter on, then you sprinkle the garlic, and then you cut 4 inches off each side of the bread, and then you cook it and blah, 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 blah. And nobody questioned the cutting off the sides of the bread. But finally somebody did. And the answer was, well, your great-great-grandmother's oven was small, But we do things because they're what we know. And if we don't question them, we'll keep doing them, and there may be no reason why we're doing them.
Hi, Sarah. I'm a big fan. My name is Kim, and I like saying that I'm Jewish and that I pray to the universe. Do you have any insight as to why you might be an atheist and your sister a rabbi? I'm just curious. Anyway, love your podcast. You always make me smile.
I don't know why. It's obviously a very interesting juxtaposition, and I'm sure there are reasons that have to do with our shared origin. You know, first of all, apropos of nothing, people, you know, siblings have very different childhood experiences, but I don't think it's that as much as the similarities. I don't really think of myself as an atheist. I think of myself as godless. I don't know, there's maybe no difference to you, but to me it's a little less arrogant. I'm just personally godless. But it's an interesting juxtaposition that my Susie, my big sis, is a rabbi, and I am godless personally. But we both preach. We both give sermons. We're both funny. You know, her first congregation was in Silver Springs, Maryland. And she loved her congregation and they loved her. But she had one story, and I hope I don't fuck it up, but it's just something like, everyone is, you know, the cantor's leading, or, you know, the congregation in a song. And I don't know why Jewish, like, temple religious songs are so bad. Because Jews write the best songs. I mean, they literally wrote every Christmas song. But anyway, the congregation is all singing, and Susie's getting ready, you know, on the pulpit about to give her sermon as the song ends. And she just starts laughing uncontrollably, which is very her. And she starts just crying. She's laughing so hard. So the congregation is like kind of stopping singing and like looking to her like, what? And then she goes, I'm so sorry. You guys are the worst singers. And I think she just thought everyone would laugh, but they didn't. Nobody laughed. And she just had to move on and, you know, perform a sermon that was probably on something very meaningful and beautiful after telling them they're bad singers.
Hey Sarah, just a kind of a light-hearted question here regarding movies.
Take a
And it doesn't
sip.
matter what movie it is. It can be a romance, comedy, whatever. But it's an interesting conversation starter, I think. What is your favorite, or what do you think is the best last line of a movie? Either way. Yeah, let's go with that one. What do you think is the best last line of a movie ever?
His mouth made a lot of noises. What is the best last line of a movie ever? I don't fucking know. That's a real thinker. You know, that's not a conversation starter. That is like a, please ask me the same thing when you're done because I have one in the chamber and I can't wait to tell you starter. That's what that is. I have something I'm thinking about the whole time while you're talking because I'm so excited to tell you mine. That's what that is. I don't know. All right, what else? I don't know the last line of the movie.
Hi, Sarah. I absolutely love the interviews that you've done talking about your experience with musical theater. I'm wondering if you have any musical theater stories that you would be willing to share with us. Thank you. I'm a big fan, and you have a beautiful voice.
Thank you. Oh, that's very nice. I can actually think of one from when I was 6. That's all I have. But, of course, I have a musical coming out in May of 2022. That was supposed to come out last May. And pandemic and tragedy ensued. But when I was 6, I was in the local performance of The King and I. And I played the youngest prince. And obviously an all-white cast in New Hampshire of The King and I. And my mom helped with Mrs. Silvasky, and my mom did the costumes. And it was early on in the play. We're all bowing to the king on the ground. And I remember thinking, I think pee is coming out of me. I can't stop it. It's just happening. And I just pissed on the stage. I was 6. And I went backstage in between scenes, and my mom took off my little costume bottoms and my underwear, made a new costume bottom out of fabric in 2 seconds and sent me back. But the whole cast is barefoot in The King and I, other than Anna and Lewis, of course. And everyone was, walking in my pee the whole performance. I'm sure that gave me some sort of hang up with urine. I need people to step in my urine to get off. All right, what else? Urine.
Hi Sarah, greetings from the UK. My name's Andy.
So many
I just
listeners
wanted to send
from the
you a
UK.
message just to say I still sing your bloody Pancakes Please song, and I don't even like pancakes. Not a bit. Can't stand them, but I still sing it every time someone mentions pancakes. But I just wanted to say hello.
Pancakes, please. Pancakes, please. Don't be such tease. Serve me up some pancakes, please. I do remember that song I co-wrote with the brilliant Chelsea Peretti. And I think we wrote it in her office in 10 minutes. And I just remember one line was like, the raw batter smells just like sperm, but if you cook it, it doesn't. Just like sperm. Weird show. All right, what else? Glad that's in someone's head. In another nation, in another land.
It's this record that just came out on DVD, on Blu-ray. It's called Amused to Death from the 80s. Got it playing on my crazy sound system. I'm a little baked. Whew, what a sound. what a thing. But then I'm like, oh, Roger Waters. Oh, no, he's against Israel. And then I remember so vividly identifying with what you said, and no one talks about this, but, you said that basically you don't have to be into the occupation and this whole Palestinian bullshit scene that's going on. And Israeli governmental forces at work and kicking everyone out and settlements being destroyed and war. You don't have to be into that to be a good Jew. And I loved it.
I don't know
because
that's exactly what I said.
At all. You just, anyway, you let me enjoy my record tonight by Roger Waters, Amused to Death. Whew. And does it sound good? God bless you. And send my best to Rory.
Rory.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah, don't get me started on Israel because I'm probably not smart enough and I don't know enough, but I have a lot of opinions that seem to both please and disappoint people on all sides of the topic, so I'll abstain. I do know this. I have heard Howard Stern talk about Roger Waters and being disappointed in him being against Israel as a Jewish state or something. Somehow he was being a dick about Israel, and Howard was talking about it, but I really don't know. And I don't go to 80s musicians for my political information, but I love that album, Amused to Death, and I love the song Watching TV. Beautiful song. Dad, we are winding down. This is the end. This is beyond the denouement of this episode of the Sarah Silverman podcast. This is the wrap up. We're wrapping up. Subscribe, rate, and review. Wherever you listen to podcasts, click that subscribe button because it does something for us. It helps a lot. It keeps podcasts on the air. So do that if you will. And if you like watching with your eye holes, check us out on YouTube because you can see it visually. Bye.